So again, we're talking about human design types today and how you can leverage your strategy, your authority, and your energy to really help make good choices. And so Jen and I are going to kind of kick it off with talking a little bit about the five energy types. So Jen, you want to start with that?
Let's kick it off with the generator and manifesting generator type. So, for you guys, right? You have this open, enveloping aura. You are just drawing people into you. So, we want to make sure that you're checking in with your strategy of responding. Remember that you need to respond to people, to energy, to things. So, one simple question that you can ask yourself to make sure that you're in alignment and you are working smarter, not harder, is to ask yourself, am I responding? Do I need to respond to this? And remember that responding is not reacting. Make sure that you're
Mm.
not being impulsive, that you're really just pausing and checking in with your body. The second piece that can help for all you generators and manifesting generators is checking in with the not self theme too, right? So, checking in with your frustration. Am I feeling frustrated? Is this causing me frustration? Because if it is, go back to your strategy. Make sure, how do I want to respond? How can I respond in a way that brings me pleasure and satisfaction? So hopefully that is helpful. Would you, as a manifesting generator, Mistral, add anything to that?
I think the hardest thing, and what I get actually from a lot of clients is too, is like, what does it even mean to respond? Like, what does that look like? What does that feel like? And the biggest thing is playing with that, right? Understanding. And I always give my clients this really simple tactic of like, start with something easy, like what do you want for lunch? And go and stand in front of the fridge and like ask yourself, do I want the salad? Do I want this sandwich? Do I want this apple? Do I want to make a smoothie? And see how your body responds. And that sort of just gives you a first initial idea of like, oh, that was kind of like a yes, I do want that. So I am going to have it. And then tuning in with how you feel after you eat that. Was that the right aligned thing to eat? Do you feel good? Did it fuel you? And that's just a really simple way to sort of understand responding.
Absolutely, because you have that fixed sacral, right? All gens and many gens have that sacral yes, no response. So ask yourself the yes, no questions, build that trust and confidence in your relationship with your sacral so that you can very easily, know what's in alignment for you and find that satisfaction. I love it.
Yes.
All right, so on to manifestors next, right? Manifestors and your motorized throat, you're here to initiate. So, checking in with your strategy of am I informing? Am I informing? Did I let everybody know who needs to know what I'm about to go do before you go do it? Talk about impulsivity, but manifestors can really just launch and jump into something new. So make sure that you're pausing, checking in with your strategy to inform anyone that needs to be informed. And this might also go for manifesting generators too, because you do have that manifestor quality that you may also need to inform someone. And then that second piece of making sure that you don't fall into your not self theme, that not self theme of anger. Am I feeling angry? Is this causing me anger? Checking back in with your strategy. Did I inform? How can I find peace? How can I find that signature theme?
And I can relate to that as a manifesting generator. I'm so good at just jumping into something, and then my friends or my partner are just kind of like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, didn't I like tell you what I was doing? I thought I told myself in my head, but I guess I didn't inform everyone else." And then that gets into that where we can fall easily into that not self theme because we get angry or frustrated that people aren't able to keep up with us, right? And so I totally relate to that one as the combined type there.
Right. Yeah. Always looking for that signature theme, right? You get to live in that satisfaction piece, the other two that we'll cover. So allow yourself to find that. That's working smarter, not harder, right? You don't need to be constantly enveloped in anger and frustration. That lets you know that you are not in alignment. You are not working smartly,
That's right.
likely. So then on to the next type that we'll talk about, which is projectors. So for projectors, we really see into people, right? We have a focused and penetrating aura. And because of that, we see things that others don't see. And for that reason, it's our strategy that we really need to always come back to is, am I recognized? Does this person recognize me? Do they recognize my values? Do they recognize what I'm bringing, my gifts, the special way that I do or see things? And then, is there an invitation, right? We are not meant to give unsolicited advice. So, making sure that we feel recognized, that there is an invitation to share our wisdom, because we can also check in with ourselves. Am I feeling bitter? Am I feeling bitterness? And a lot of times that bitterness comes when we give that unsolicited advice, when we share what we see, when we try to guide people who don't recognize our energy and how special it is and do not give us the invitation. Because when someone does recognize us, when they do invite us to share what we see, our insight, our wisdom, then we can find success. And that's really how we're meant to feel. And gosh, I won't go on the tirade of projector conditioning here today, but that is one way to really work smarter, not harder. Don't waste your precious energy on people, things that do not recognize or invite you.
Yeah, and one of the things I notice with a lot of my clients who happen to be projectors is they don't understand that waiting for the invitation. They don't understand like what does it even mean to get an invitation? Because, projectors do see, they see better ways for us to do things, better systems, better strategies, better everything. And they want to just, blurt it out, say it, doesn't matter what field they're in. They see it, they know it, they have this knowing. And so how do we support projectors in helping them be recognized and helping them see the invitation as someone, as yourself, who is a projector?
Yeah, this is something that all projectors really need to understand, because we don't live, one, in a society that supports projectors, and two, we don't live in a black and white world, right? Like, the invitations are not clear. I invite you to share your wisdom. I invite you to come do this with me, right? It's not always that clear. So it's really bringing awareness into invitations and let it be fun, right? Projectors, we're here to like be fun, light, and playful, and it's through doing those things that we get more connections. But it really starts with self-recognition, which is so difficult because we can't have our aura work on ourselves. Like mirror work, yes, it can be helpful, but it's not the same energetic level that you get to do with someone else. So make sure that you recognize yourself, your values, your wisdom, your special way, unique way that you are, and then start to bring awareness to invitations. Like someone might say, what do you think about that? That's an invitation. They might say, oh, I would really love to know more. That's an invitation. And also, it's important for projectors to remember, like, especially for business owners in DMs, right? Someone said hi, they answered your DM. That's an invitation. You don't need to be sitting there waiting in your DMs for an invitation to come across. The fact that you've made a connection and there was an initial invitation is essentially an open invitation to be sharing your wisdom. So there is so much, that's a great question. I feel like we could do a whole live just on projector
Totally.
invitations.
Yeah, totally. And so those of us those of you who are joining us right now, if you know your human design energy type, drop it in the comments so that we can sort of chat about, your energy type and then what those two questions are that we're talking about with checking in with your strategy, and your not self theme, which we'll be coming to in a minute. So put it in the chat.
So then our last type, the fifth type of reflectors. Reflectors need to wait a lunar cycle, 28 days. That is their strategy. So reflectors, ask yourself the question, am I honoring my need to feel through this for 28 days until the answers reveal themselves? Because it may not need to be a full 28 days, right? You may stay aware of it. You may feel through it, especially if you're in your environment, your human design environment, which helps all of the energy flow much easier for you to decondition all of your openness. It may only be a week, maybe it's 2 weeks. So as long as you're honoring the slowness and feeling through, still checking in with those questions to let the answers reveal themselves. What are those sayings? Like, you got to slow down to speed up, right?
Yeah.
Reflectors, like, you are on a slow feel. Do not rush it. Do not push it. Because when you do, when you're not moving through the energy cycles of the moon, which is really what that 28 days are, you're likely going to fall into that not self theme of disappointment. So
Yeah.
you can also check in, ask yourself, am I feeling disappointed? Is this an area where I'm experiencing disappointment? Was I let down? As a conscious reflector, when I bring awareness to the disappointment that I feel, it's crazy informative for me that I'm like, wow, I'm really feeling disappointed here. Why is that? And it's like, oh, I wasn't waiting, or I set an expectation. I wasn't just allowing it to come to me.
Hmm.
So those very special 1% of the world's reflectors.
And it's funny, I relate so much to that when you talk about your not self theme, because that's exactly what happens to me as soon as I feel that anger, frustration come in and I actually shine light to it. Like, well, what caused that, or what was causing me to create that? Then I can really acknowledge, like, oh, yeah, now I remember 10 steps back. I said yes to something or no to something that should have been the opposite. Or I did something or allowed my kids to do something, that maybe I didn't really feel comfortable saying yes to. And it's amazing when you shine a little bit of light on it, how you can then reflect and say, okay, I was out of alignment in that time. And so now I can move forward and shift out of that, which is huge, being able to have that self-awareness.
Yeah, and that's really what the not self is, right? It's all a spectrum, and the not self is just that lower vibration, that out of alignment, that falling into the shadow, whatever word phrase that you align with. That's what that not self is. So when you understand, when you know your energy type, right? You know your strategy that we just talked about. It's really important to know your not self theme, that lower end of the spectrum, which is that frustration, anger, bitterness, or disappointment, depending on your type. So, really bringing awareness to that, seeing how much you're experiencing that emotion throughout the day. Is it a lot? Are you experiencing a lot of frustration as a generator? Chances are you are living way out of alignment, and I would say probably at least 75% of the world is living out of alignment. So the more
Mhm.
awareness that you can bring to that not self theme, ask yourself those questions about the strategy, can help you find your signature theme, the other end of the spectrum where you get to feel good, you get to experience alignment, the synchronicities of the world, right? For Mistral, that's satisfaction, pleasure. There's also an aspect of peace in
Mhm.
there. For me, it's success. And then for reflectors, it's that delight and surprise.
Yeah. And I think what's really important to remember too is that if you are feeling this not self theme a lot, so those sort of negative, low vibrations on a daily basis, then it is time to look at what you're doing in your life. And that's when it's the perfect time to reach out to someone like Jen or myself to sort of support you through that, because it could be that you're in the wrong job, the wrong environment, making the wrong choices. And when you continue to do this daily and that frustration, anger, disappointment, um, dissatisfaction doesn't show up for you, then or sorry, shows up for you constantly, then it just is a spiral, right? It's a spiral down, and that's going to lead to so many more problems in your life. And so what, Jen and I are here to do is to help you sort of flip that so that you can find success and find your signature theme and find the joy and the passion and the peace and the success and satisfaction and all the things that we want to be feeling on a daily basis that allows us to really light up and shine brightly and turn up and feel good about ourselves, which only benefits the people around us, whether that's our partners or our family or our children. And so, or our colleagues, our work colleagues. And so, being in our signature self is so huge, and it's how we want to be able to be presenting to the world. And so it's important to, like, it's okay to feel those negative emotions, but it's important to know how to shift them too and understand where you are out of alignment.
Yeah, and especially when, we're talking about working smarter, not harder, to
Mm,
notice when you're in those lower vibrations so you can really practice, because it takes a lot of practice. Like, this will not happen overnight.
that's right.
We do not want to mislead you there. It takes 7
Nope.
years to decondition. So, like, we're in it for the long haul. You get to learn so much. And, I've been in my experience for over 4 years, and it's like every day I'm learning more and allowing myself to more so feel my signature theme. Like the amount of success that I have allowed myself to experience, to feel into, to like keep raising it up and up more into this higher end of the spectrum. Like, it's amazing and it's something to be celebrated because it's really special to get to experience more and more of your signature theme. And it's so crazy to think that, like, for many, many years to come, I will continue expanding my success. And Mistral, I imagine you feel the same way about really acknowledging and expanding and feeling into what really satisfies you.
Yes, and especially as business owners, like this is how we grow and scale our business with ease and flow, right? We can't do this when we're doing it backwards, when we're doing things out of alignment, doing something just because that's the way everybody else does it. I get DMs all the time from people asking me to join their network marketing companies or to join a coaching program or to come on this retreat. And I'm like, you haven't done any research to figure out who I am. And does this feel good? Is this the way that you want to market? And they're being told to do that by a team leader. And that's what I was told for so long. And then you do it because you're like, well, someone who has success already is showing me a way. But what I came to realize over time is that that way isn't my way. And when I do it my way, I get lit up. I share better. I get more engagement, more interaction, more people reaching out to me. And that's what we want, right? We want to attract versus chasing. And we do it by living in our energetic signatures, which is exactly like what Jen said at the start when we talk about what kind of energy type are we and what is our signature theme, what brings us the most joy, satisfaction, success, and pride and peace.
Yeah, so definitely let us know your energy type. We would love to hear how you're utilizing your strategy, what your self theme, your signature theme feels like. So please let us know in the comments. And if you are a female business owner, we would love to invite you into our monthly program, Planning by Design, where we help you with goal setting and accountability to honor your energetic cycles, all of them that we talk about every Monday here on our lives, and implement them into your life and business so that you can live more in your signature theme.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that we haven't been taught to do is to live in our cycles. And that's what we're teaching you here. And it is so fun, so exciting, so freeing, and allows us. I mean, we've learned so much from creating this, and we know that it's impacting the women who are already in the group in ways that they are just exploding themselves with joy and happiness and feeling much more success and alignment than they have before.